Hello, and welcome to this impromptu hangout with myself, Nathan Oakley, and Adam Joseph Doty. How are you doing, Adam, first and foremost?
I'm doing okay. I had a long walk this morning.
A long walk to take a breath of fresh air by any chance?
Pretty much, yes.
Superb. To give anybody who's watching a bit of an update on why we're holding this impromptu hangout, is because of the division caused by the No Forest on a Flat Earth release, which came out about 2.5 weeks ago. And off the back of it, there has been lots of dissension, lots of arguments, lots of people who are saying categorically this is nonsense, absolute rubbish. I know my geology. And there's another side that's saying, I think this is absolutely true. This is fact. Mountains used to be trees or are quarry waste and all this sort of stuff. Now, me personally, I'm on the fence. If you want to look at it that way, I'm looking at this stuff. I'm going to go to the Giant's Causeway, hopefully with Antonio and a few other people, to have a little look around and a bit of a nose and see what we can come up with. Adam included has done lots and lots of research into this. We have discussed it endlessly in Skype conversations, in Hangouts. We've discussed it to death. So for anybody at the end of this Hangout to say, oh, they're detractors, they're controlled opposition that are trying to stifle the progress of the No Forest on a Flat Earth movement, no. What we're here to do is point out that the No Forest on a Flat Earth believers have no evidence. They have no proof. And yet they are standing in a crowd of flat earthers holding proof of no curvature, proof of no photos of Earth, and saying, we have proof there was no trees. Now, this is farcical. Off the back of it, and I'm not going to give you an easy time about this, Adam, you have been one of the people on the opposite extremes, like Martin Liedtke, who has said, this is nonsense. There's no reference to it in my biblical texts. There's no reference to it in my science. And even if there were, there hasn't been enough time to do any investigation. So you are one of the people that's come out hard against this, but you've really received quite a severe amount of backlash, mainly from Jeran, and unfortunately we are going to have to discuss him by name. So maybe if you can just tell the people watching what has actually happened with regards to Jeran thus far.
Well, he basically made a public thing on his show that he was unsubbing me and why, and he put a comment that I'm making fun of disabled people, and quoted scripture under a comment, and it actually really hurt me because I wasn't expecting that at all. Uh, yeah, I don't know what to say. I
Well,
just
I mean,
wasn't expecting.
unexpected, yes, but the thing that caught my attention this morning and prompted me to immediately have a live conversation with you was the extreme nature of how it made you feel. Now, I want to make this absolutely clear. We are in no way, or I'm not, maybe you might do, Adam, but I'm in no way blaming Jeran Campanella of Jeranism for this. On the contrary, I feel he is also, like Adam, a victim of what has occurred here. And what we are witnessing right here, right now, between Adam and Jeran is the net result of this video and the dissension it has caused. We've got Adam on the one side saying, all I'm trying to do is point out that I think it's nonsense and here's why. And personally, I think the way you did it was extremely elegant. You've taken the exact words that the guy used, put him in a stupid voice, used his exact video and changed the music. He's given permission to do exactly that on the original upload. In fact, he encouraged it, which we'll probably get to a bit later. He's provided all of the materials to reproduce this video using his words. And that's what Adam's done. Exactly that, which to me is quite clever, but it still sits on the fence of, massively opposed to the idea, to the concept. And to that, you've got Jeran, who isn't saying, I wholeheartedly buy this concept. I believe there were no trees. He's just had a little look at it. And there's absolutely no harm in doing that. I'm sure you will agree, Adam, you've also had a look at this. You've gone into this subject to a certain extent. Am I right?
Yeah, and there's some people, like online friends that I have, that discussed it with me. I watched the video. I took my time to look at it and see what is it all about. And from the beginning to the end of the video, all I saw was make-believe, fairy tale. Um, None of it made any sense, other than the emotional music and that. And not that he has a Russian accent or he's hard to follow. It just what he was presenting seemed like, wow, this could do a lot of damage.
Not only that, there was a huge amount of neuro-linguistic programming in there. He's
yeah, there was,
constantly
yeah.
viewer that they're idiots.
Yeah, there were.
Half awake, you're idiots. Are you stupid enough to believe this? Words like that have a really strong impact.
Mm-hmm. And I just think that I said it before, but the one line where if you'll only believe in flat Earth, you're half awake. Well, that's what the whole video is about. That one line that he said is what the whole hour and whatever minutes it was about. That's what all it was about.
I mean, there are going to be people like Jaron who are smart enough and sensible enough to look at it, take what they can, you phrase it, chew the meat and spit out the bones. And Jaron has done that, you know, to his credit. And I applaud that. He's looked at it, taken what he can from it, and then moved on. The problem is not Jaron. For me, I said this in the video log I released earlier, although I did film it last night. I was just too tired to publish it. But in that video, I tried to explain that my issue is not that people are looking at this. I've looked at it. Adam's looked at it. Jaron's looked at it. Everybody we know has looked at it. And that isn't the problem either. More power to you all. You know, I might even put a link to it in the bottom of this video so you can all have a look at it if you haven't already. The No Forest on Flat Earth video, that is not my video log. But yeah, go and have a look at it. Take from it what you will. But when you have two things occur. One is the people in the chat, in the comments, constantly pushing the idea of this being a fact. And then off the back of that, the pushback, the Adams, the Martins saying, no, this is pure fantasy. I don't buy this. Now, I don't necessarily want to go round and round in circles discussing the validity of the video on this particular Hangout, but more the end result. So the end result is that Adam is upset by somebody saying there's no harm in looking at this, which is what Jaron's done. But now, maybe I would criticise Jaron to a certain extent to publicly tell his however many 40,000 subscribers that he's unsubbing from, you know, little old Adam. You know, if it were me, I'd actually be jumping for joy because there's no such thing as bad publicity. You know, I'd just see my name being mentioned. Maybe you don't view it that way, though, Adam.
Yeah, not really, because I just think people follow him and they listen to him, and he's got a much bigger channel than me. And I mean, Jaron has been really sarcastic so many times in so many videos, and people can get offended by that. I do a voice that can be looked at as disabled voice or something, which that was not my intent, and all of a sudden I'm the bad guy. It's like you can do 1,000 things right and one thing wrong, and he jumps on me, and he can be sarcastic and rude in so many of his videos, and people just applaud him and cheer him on. So it's like, come on, man, like that's not my intent. I wasn't making fun of disabled people. I was just trying to make the most stupidest voice I could think of. That's all I was doing.
But again, I mean, I've got to bring this back to me. And again, I don't want anyone to think that I am actually saying this as fact. I am proposing the notion that the end result of this video is the division we are now witnessing.
Yeah,
and,
okay.
Again, I said this in the video log. If you want to put your mark next to the Mandela effect, or let's think of a more poignant example, Math Powerland has currently said stuff about people literally being reptiles. Well, you know, he can do that if he likes. He can draw those associations if he likes, but he's not stating it as fact. He's just proposing this idea. Now, some people might get behind Math Powerland and say, yeah, people are reptiles. You know, they're really all lizard people. They can peel off their skin. But they're not. You know, if they were, I'd probably be as outraged as I am about this. The net result of Math Powerland saying that stuff about lizards isn't people like Adam now wanting to shut down their channel because of the infighting it has caused between him and a fellow flat earther. Had the video not been titled No Forests on Flat Earth, just there are no forests, or there are no forests on Earth, or heaven forbid, no forests on planet Earth, then we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's why it seemed to me that this video, the original No Forest on Flat Earth, was targeting flat earthers, and it seemed the whole purpose of it to cause division.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, even though I'm speculating, I do kind of see it in the same way. Even if that is the case, the same applies to Mandela effect. They can take you down avenues that expand your mind, that make you see things in different ways. In the case of the Mandela effect, it seems it's just recycled nonsense. It's been here before. It will probably come around again. So you do a little bit of digging in no trees and find that a similar thing is going on. You know, not only does it lead you down evolutionary paths when you dig into it, you find that the the Devil's Tower, the idea of that being a tree is quite an old theory. It's quite an old bit of speculation that hasn't just popped out of nowhere. It has got a certain amount of validity, not to the theory, but to it being in existence as a theory. So there's nothing new under the sun. But the way it's been packaged up for flat earthers has caused division. This is fact. This is what's occurring right now. And it's upsetting to me. It's upsetting to Adam. We just want to be able to present things that change people's paradigms for the right reasons. The earth is flat, and that's discernible. It's provable. You can go outside and check for yourself. The Postal Service did a video, I don't know how long ago, a few days ago, that essentially did the same as Thomas Sheridan did, linking ludicrousy to flat earth. If this sticks and becomes a branch of flat earth, then it debunks all of it. I noticed, sorry to talk a lot, Adam.
No, it's okay.
But to Sasha's credit, she's got knocked, and I'm going to give her full kudos for this. She pointed out to GeoShifter in one of the Hangouts that he had misunderstood a heliocentric explanation for the precession of Earth and used it to say that we should be in daytime when we are in nighttime, 6 months on the opposite side of the sun. And Sasha was quick to jump on that and say, no, if you use that as a proof of the Earth being flat or the heliocentric system being a lie, and a heliocentrist comes along and points out that there is a genuine explanation for it, it may not be real, but they can explain it. Then the person who has come to Flat Earth with that information will just go, oh, that's not correct. That's not how the world works. I haven't understood. And here's a heliocentric believer telling me how it does actually work, and it makes sense on paper. Thus, negating any hard work or any effort that people have put in to give real facts and real information about flat Earth. With the no forests on flat Earth thing, I see it as the same. I see it as a poor explanation, a poor justification for the very real and discernible fact that the Earth is flat. We have no curvature. Go out and test it. Go out and prove it. If I say on the next breath, and mountains are actually old trees, just makes a mockery of everything people are saying. Now, Jaron again will come along and say, as he did last night, there's no harm in looking at any of this. And I completely agree. Missa backed him up in the comments, in the chat feed, and said, we shouldn't try and preclude people from investigating anything. And I completely agree. Look into it as you will. But when you're in the chat room of a flat Earth video telling people, fact, volcanoes are quarry waste, it makes me really annoyed, especially when that path continues into dissension, people arguing, people saying, like Martin has done, well, you'll see in a few years when it gets proved wrong. That gets people's backs up. Same as your video, Adam. Your video, because you're so vehemently opposed to it, has got people's backs up. And ain't that just the way it should be with material like this? It almost went that way with Mandela. It wasn't flat Earth in the title. This time it is. And to me, it's the, I hate to use this term, but the same piss in a different bottle.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know why they couldn't just, like, if someone wants to believe in the no forest and flat Earth, okay, you can believe whatever you want. You're free to believe what you want. But because I came up with something that I thought kind of ridiculed it, to put it in a different light, to say, I changed the music and add a different voice, but everything, I chose clips and it's word for word he said, then they were mad at me. A lot of people are, so it's like, what, so I have to agree with it then? So if I don't agree with this no forest and flat Earth, I'm not really a flat earther then? That's kind of what it feels like.
That's kind of what I think the purpose of the video is, to say, if you don't agree with this, you've said it already, you're only half awake if you don't agree with this. If you don't see what I'm showing you, are you a fool? Don't you get this? Do you believe the bullshit presented to you from other sources? Well, hang on a second. Let's have a little look at it first before we draw our conclusions. Let's highlight the fact that you ask a very specific question about, let's pick one of them, how they cut it down, state that you will answer it, and then completely ignore it. That's a pretty big deal for me when you're telling me I'm an idiot and I don't understand that I'm half awake.
Yeah, that's what,
that goes to the core of what I believe in. When you've got somebody, and I'm going to use Jaron again in the positive this time, when you've got someone like Jaron going, there is no curve, I've proved it, go out and prove it for yourself. If you want to debunk me, do it. And every time someone comes along and debunks Jaron, or so-called debunks Jaron, he'll pick their video to absolute tatters. You know, he's destroyed Red's video with the boat going over the cup, absolutely destroyed it. But yet, in the same breath, he's kind of saying, but it's okay to give credence to this complete nonsense. Really, Jaron? I don't think so. It seems like you're backtracking. That's not a slant on Jaron. He's just a guy. We shouldn't jump down his throats. But yet, here you are, Adam. Again, I'm going to, throw it back in your court, jumping down his throat for being offended at a video that could very easily be taken as offensive.
Yeah, but then why didn't? I mean, we had a hangout together. We have talked on the phone. I stuck up for him many times. I took some heat. Why doesn't he just give me a Skype call and ask what that was all about? Why did he have to do that all public just to make me look so bad? Because there's different types of humor, and not all humor is for everybody. People have different points of view on anything, but he kind of just threw it away like garbage instead of seeing the main point of what it was really about. Like what was my real intent of that video? Definitely not to make fun of disabled people. I don't know. I just wish he would have contacted me first, because he has a big show and everything. And I know you see it as, any even publicity, whatever is good publicity, even bad publicity. But I don't know. It just kind of hurt a little bit because I don't have a big channel. Like he's throwing a boulder at me, and I don't even have a pebble. Like I don't have a big channel like him. So I just wish he would have contacted me.
But maybe it's a form of self-defense on his part. I'm sure he's got plenty of detractors contacting him saying this is nonsense. And all he keeps saying is, I'm only looking at it. What's the harm? Who cares? We can look at whatever we like. And to be perfectly honest, he's right. So from his perspective, he's staying quite neutral. He's just having a look at it. It's no different to looking at, some of the concepts they put on Globebusters are pretty out there. And even when they show them with scale models and demonstrations, you still have to extrapolate that out into a concept that's quite large and mind-blowing for a lot of people who would certainly be watching it for the first time. It would blow their minds. So there's no harm in looking at any of this stuff. So I have to agree with Jaron.
No, he's right. Yeah, but you can be right and wrong at the same time. Like, for example, for me, like if he would have just said, Adam's entitled to his opinion. I talked to him. This is really what his intent was. And I mean, believe what you want to believe. He's not hating people that believe in the whole no forest thing, but this is really what his intent was, blah, blah, blah. But he didn't. He kind of blindsided me a little bit. That's my opinion. I don't know.
Well, that's because of, again, I'm going to blame it on the Russian and say it's because of this video. It has invoked an extreme reaction and a polarized reaction across flat earthers. I don't see this polarized reaction across globe earthers. Most of them just say, we're stupid. Look how stupid flat earthers are. That's the main reaction I see. Postal Service and Thomas Sheridan are perfect examples. They tie the thing together and say, look, another stupid idea from flat earth, just like the sun going down and getting smaller. How stupid are these guys? Well, that makes me have a sharp intake of breath when I hear it. And it's as a result of the title of the video. So I can understand you seeing it as being blindsided by Jaron, but he's the opposite side of that coin. He's not backed it, but he's certainly promoted this video. So to then say, oh, it's fair that we ridicule this when we are ridiculed, I completely agree with him. It's unfair. I felt really uncomfortable when he was discussing it on his show. I've had some part in making this video with you, Adam, even though it wasn't a great deal of work on my part. I've still
you made it funnier, anyways.
Whatever my involvement, I'm just saying I've taken part, and I was in the chat thinking, God, I hope this doesn't come my way. As much as I'm nodding away saying there's no such thing as bad publicity, I thought, God, I really hope he doesn't, have a go at me. I did feel guilty. I did feel bad about it. Until I read a few comments, and then thought back about the reaction to Little Nicky. I don't know if you remember Little Nicky. The guy is like a devil, apt.
Yeah. From Adam Sandler, right?
Yeah, Adam Sandler. There was a few people who said he'd gone too far. He'd taken it to the level of retardedness that wasn't appropriate, and it got a lot of flack for it. Me, I thought it was a funny voice. I didn't see it as more than that.
Yeah, I do. I used to love Adam Sandler a lot, watch a lot of his stuff. Maybe it's my humor. I don't know. Sometimes my humor in the past got me in trouble because that's just the kind of humor I like. I don't know.
I
And
mean, moving forward, I mean, I'm going to get some opinions from the chat in a minute. I've been keeping an eye on it to see if there was anything pertinent, but there hasn't been as yet. Just lots
is
of
anyone in the chat or what?
Yeah, there's a few people. There's a fair few people in there chatting away. Most of them saying, "How you doing?" You know, how's Daddy Nathan and all this sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, doing well, by the way. Yeah, I mean, I want to ask the chat: where do we go with this? How do we stop the division that it is causing? That's all I want to achieve. I don't want to discuss any more about the validity of whether or not there are mountains that were formerly trees. I'm just sick of discussing that particular aspect of it. The bit that does fascinate me is the aftermath, the effects of the video, and this is one of them, and possibly the most fascinating thus far. This reaction between yourself and Jaren. So yeah, so that's open to the chat. If anyone wants to put their comments in, just type them in bold. I'll read them out. But I mean, you're with me right here, right now, Adam. So what do you think we can do? How can we stop the dissension? How can we stop the division?
Well, I'll just say that, you know, someone's a flat earther, and what they're saying is still validity, whether or not they do or don't believe in this video. You know, if someone believes in giant trees or thinks that it could be true, I'm not going to discredit that person as being a flat earther. I'll still respect them, as long as they can respect me, because I don't believe it's good. You know, that I think it seems like it's a possible psyop of some kind, where we can kind of put this whole thing on the back burner and really put forward what's really important, and I think that's flat Earth. You know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I would say that to phrase things more carefully. So if something is a fact, I'm more than happy to stand on the rooftops and scream it. You know, there's no curvature. I'll happily stand on the roof and shout that to anybody going past, metaphorically, of course, because it is a fact, because you can go out, because you can check it. Whereas the no trees thing, speculation. Now, no offense to you, Adam, there's plenty of biblical things that you will come out with as proof of flat Earth that I simply don't agree with, that I just don't give credence to. That's not to say that what you are doing intentionally causes division. For a start, I'm going to have to critique that video again. You're not constantly referring to Earth as a globe, which he does.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay. But I could have made, like, I originally I was thinking of doing the whole video word for word what he said, but sounding like that. I don't know. It would have been too long.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been very funny.
No. It would have wore off real quick.
That's it. So a quick check of the chat feed, see if anybody's saying anything pertinent.
Yeah, but in that video, yeah, he does refer to the globe and evolution and a lot of things that have nothing to do with flat Earth. So I see what you're saying.
So I've got Mark Ofsky says, I certainly don't think friendships should be broken over this. Completely agree. And I don't know if you agree, Adam, I don't think your friendship will be tarnished with Jaren. Am I right?
Well, I wish there was something I could do, like where he would sub me back or something. Like, is there something that, like, I'd like the video. Like, I was feeling bad, and then I watched it and I started laughing again. And I'm like, but then I didn't feel bad because it's freaking hilarious. So I don't know. Like, can we just agree to disagree? You know, but if there's something that I can do, I don't know.
I'm certain you can. I mean, I think you've delivered a bit of a hammer blow by saying you're the pot calling the kettle black with his Stephen Hawking thing. I mean, when I watched that, my eyebrows went very high. I was like, oh yeah, that's really a very specifically handicapped person, isn't it?
Well, what if he's wrong? What if he really, you know, he's really handicapped? He's not doing as well as he used to in his health, you know, and he's laying there and he's talking, and maybe someone isn't feeding the lines to him. So either way, I mean, Jaren's kind of making fun of disabled guy. So he's kind of the same thing, but the difference is I think it's worse what he did, because I wasn't trying to make a disabled voice in any way. I was just trying to sound stupid. And I wasn't thinking about, you know, handicap or disabled people in any way, shape, or form when I was doing it. But he did. He was picking on someone that's disabled. So I don't know. Yeah, let people be the judge, I guess.
A few more comments in chat. We've got GIR. I think I'm going to butcher his name now. Grr. Who's the guy who shared the 24-hour daylight on the sun tracking? He says the next big thing is the map Bob and Cami have done. That's the next topic. Completely agree. I'm hoping to have Cami. I know it hasn't come off a couple of times so far, but hopefully Cami will be on Mechanics of the Fourth Wall in a couple of days' time to discuss the map with myself and Antonio Subrats to see if there's any other pertinent comments. I'm sure I did see one. Here we go. So Paula, was it Pauline? Can't quite see this distance. G17. Adam and Jaren should just make up, resub, and let's move forward. Yeah, completely agree.
I like that. I'd do it.
So yeah, anything else pertinent? Can't see anything else right now. Yeah, again, if you've got any further comments in the chat, just do pop them in bold or in capitals and I will read them out. We're not going to keep this to masses of hours of discussing this, but yeah, I mean, I would completely agree with, I can't see at this distance if it's Paul, I think it is Pauline. Yeah, totally. It would be nice if Jaren and Adam just said, fine, let's just forget about it, who cares, and let's move on, rather than demonstrating division, which is what Jaren did. Who am I to criticize? Might be his attitude, you know, sod you, I'll do what the hell I like. It's my channel, my platform, I'll say whatever I like, which would be my attitude, frankly. If it was me who said it, I'd say, I'll say what I like, thank you very much. And maybe Jaren will be the same. But moving forward, that's kind of, you know, in an airy, fairy, wonderful kumbaya world, that's what I'd like to see. You know, just you guys going, you're right, who cares? There's no biggie. Let's just move on. Agree to disagree. I didn't like your voice. You didn't like the No Trees video. So what? The Earth's still flat. Nothing's going to start its spinning, as Antonio Subaraps would say.
No, it's true. Yeah. Well, this might be in bad taste, but I'll say it anyways. It'd be cool if Jaren would take that video and add Stephen Hawking's voice to it, and then I'll upload it, and then everything's okay, and he'll sub me back or something, maybe.
Very slick. That's not what you said just before we went live.
Was it nicer? Did I say it nicer that way?
You said,
Jaren,
I might take. That's what you said.
Yeah, but I thought, thinking about it now, Jaren, if you're watching this, can you add Stephen Hawking's voice to it, and can we be friends? Is that better?
Yeah, that's the thing I want to stress. Jaren is, you know, one of my favorite flat earth videographers. He's superb. I will definitely never unsub him, even if he comes out as against me all guns blazing. I've said this to a few people actually that have said, get the hell off my channel and stop watching. I'm like, well, no, I like your videos. I don't care if you disagree with me. I will watch anyway. You know, and Jaren's one of those people who's ever, you know, had any fallout with me. But I love his videos. They're wonderful, and I will watch them all day long. Every video he brings out, I watch them, all of them, all the way through. And you know, that's because they're good. I say the same thing about you, Adam. Your videos are excellent, and it would just be nice if we all got along. Kumbaya, along. There was one another good comment from Jenny 1071. Unless the trees help to prove the Earth is flat, move on. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't stop or don't try and suggest for 1 second that anybody stops researching this, stops looking into this. Again, I mentioned this earlier on the Hangout. I'm going to go and look at the Giant's Causeway over in Ireland. I'd love to see it, you know, up close and personal. It may prove nothing to me. It may absolutely prove that it used to be a tree stump. I don't know till I go and have a look at it and do a bit more investigation. It's just not going to be something that I go into a chat feed and tell people is a fact, because it isn't.
Right. It's not a fact. You know, to me, in my opinion, unless I see more evidence where it could be, it seems like a fairy tale to me.
Sure. I mean, I'm on the fence. You know, there's elements of it that I thought were really, really interesting. Not because I thought they were in any way going to lead to facts, but because I can't say I even did this. Bob did this, but he took some of the ideas that were in there and moved them forward and said, well, how could the Grand Canyon have been formed if it wasn't excavated out or if it wasn't quarried? What are the forces that could potentially form that? And let's have a look at those. Well, he wouldn't have been on that thought track had it not been for the video. So in some way, you know, we should praise the video, even though it's called Us All Stupid. There are certain positive aspects that the video has brought to the flat Earth specifically. Did you take any positivity from it, Adam?
From the original video? Well, I guess you know, a negative could be a positive in some ways, because you still have to be critical thinkers, right? Being a flat earther doesn't mean just believing anything that comes along. You still have to have a bit of critical thinking skills, and I guess that's how I approach things. Even with scripture, I know, like, you know, a lot of people that aren't Christians wonder why I do that. But even with scripture, I want to have critical thinking skills that are right. When new things come along, I want to look at it and see, is this even viable? I don't know. I guess that's positive, a lesson to learn, I guess. I don't know.
A few of the comments have now come in. Where are we? Sorry, the chat's moving a bit quick. Stephen Hawking is a medical miracle. Yes, he is. Absolutely correct. We've also got the fact that gyroscopes prove no motion. ... should smash their model.
That's true. Very true.
You've got these facts that we can go around stating, and people can very easily go out and find a gyroscope, and or if you want to go to this extreme, you could build a Foucault pendulum, and have it demonstrate how the Earth's moving beneath you, only to scratch your head and say, why doesn't the same force affect an aeroplane? You can do these and state these contradictions in terms to a non-flat earther, have them go away, and they can recreate those experiments if they choose to. More power to you if you do.
Yeah. And what you were saying earlier, I see it like this. Like, we have some great proofs and evidence, and some people look at it like it's old news. But no, that's great news. It's still very true. And a lot of people out there haven't even heard it. Before I came home and went through and saw what Jaron put in my comment, I was at the mall and I had a relative or someone sitting, I'm not going to say who because they might watch this, but was making fun of me for believing the earth is flat in front of everybody. So they were trying to humiliate me. And then I come home and I'm trying to stand up for what's true. And then I come home and then I see a comment like that. And I'm thinking, aren't we supposed to stick together? What the heck's going on? Like, it's like, maybe that's why it upset me a little bit more, because I do get out there and I get it sometimes from both sides. I get it from Christians, my brothers and sisters, I guess you could say, and I get it from fellow flat earthers. So it's not easy, but maybe that's why I took it so hard, because I'm just trying to do what's right. And why is this happening? I know I'm kind of babbling. Sorry, Nathan.
Well, no, not at all. I mean, what you've just said makes a lot of sense after speaking to a few flat earthers back when I was more focusing on one-to-one interviews. And I know Jamie, Fake Spaceman in Space, or JH, I think he's called now, Thomas Scott News Stalker, he's had various different names. But he was saying that, the flat earth has come and gone several times in the past. It's risen up, and A4 also said this, it's come, the trolls have come along, the detractors have come along and made people's life a misery, to the point that they don't want to do it. Or in the case of Adam, A4 has gone a bit nuts. He's gone off the rails. He still, has his moments of clarity and still puts out some good flat earth information. I'm really glad he's now, doing his own hangouts rather than going nuts in Flat Earth Debate Channel. He's managed to hold it together and actually get some good information out there. Same as Jamie Fake Spaceman. I'm really glad he's back on the scene. He had some really interesting information in one of those debates. He was talking about, I think it's called Thea. This is something I was aware of, but it just never occurred to me. Back in the days when I was on the ball and watching NASA Channel all the time, not the NASA Channel, but Science at NASA. But yeah, so watching explanations with really cool visual graphics of a planet smashing into the Earth at a particular angle, which I can't remember off the top of my head, enough for it to not obliterate Earth, and leaving the majority of its iron core, this secondary planet that smashed into Earth, leaving its iron core amalgamated, if that's the word, with Earth's core. The remains of the debris flies off into outer space and then coalesces into our moon, defying gravity, the gravity of the Earth. And that's how we get our moon. And it's also how we get our oversized iron core that gives us the magnetic field that we are currently looking at in flat Earth. Now, you say all this and it sounds wonderful, but this is all based on guesswork. Educated guess. That's how they will describe it. We've only dug down 12K. How on earth can they ever prove any of this out? How can they possibly go back the millions and millions of years?
They don't know. They're all making it up.
Yeah, completely made up. Well, again, this is really nice information that you can present to anybody who comes up with evolutionary theory or heliocentric theory and say, this is nonsense. It's just completely preposterous. And I'm glad that we've got people who have been suppressed, people who've been pushed down, trolled to the nth degree, still coming back. There is something very compelling about flat Earth, which, if you said it was a psyop earlier, I don't know if that's how you were phrasing it or postulating that it might be, but if it was, you'd want there to be division. This is always how they do it. They Hegelian dialectic, divide and conquer. That's how they would do it. You know, have us fight amongst ourselves, set up different factions within Flat Earth. The Mandela effect believers, the non-Mandela effect believers, the reptilian believers, the non-reptilian believers, the clone center believers, the non-clone center believers.
They want to separate everyone, yeah.
Yeah, the no trees believers, instead of just everybody being unified and saying, look, we don't live on a globe.
Yeah, but Nathan, they must.
Doesn't matter what I believe.
Yeah, but they must be doing this because the original proofs, the things that are provable about flat Earth, they want people to stop looking at those things because it's doing damage to them or something. Instead of that, let's go down all these rabbit holes in other areas instead of what's really hurting them.
Yeah, a distraction. That was the first thing that
I kind of agree. Like, I don't always agree with him, but Jesse Spots, right? And I kind of agree with what he said. Like, you had them cornered, and then you have to start believing this stuff, which is so not provable. Even if it's true, how the heck do you prove that? So you're going from provable things to things you cannot even really prove, and people just look like, oh, you're just speculating. This is just a fairy tale. So in a way, I do agree with Jesse Spots. I think he's bang on. Not with everything that he said, but his main point I agree with.
I've got to, at this stage, say that Jeran was not saying at any stage that he fully and wholeheartedly buys this as fact. He's just saying it's a nice idea to look at. But
that's fine.
There is a huge number of people that can't do that. Sheeple is probably the best word. Some people just want spoon feeding the information. The amount of people that have said, "Where's your data for the sun tracking?" It's like it was a live event. You know, if you want the information presented to you, watch it. It's there live so that you can go back and assess it for yourself. You know, you don't need me to spoon feed any of this data to you. But yet when you have something that comes along that's presented in such a way, especially with the neural linguistic programming, by telling you you're not woken up, by telling you, do you believe this stuff, this nonsense? Are you an idiot? You hear that, and it does have an effect on certain people. Some can just tune it out. I can certainly tune it out. I tune the whole thing out, frankly. But some people, it's like, no, this is it now. Let's walk towards the trees.
Do that again. I liked it.
No, I can't.
Okay.
I'll get accused of insulting zombies or something.
Yeah. Disabled zombies. That was bad cross the line again.
Yeah, take that back. I don't want anybody to think for 1 second that the idea even crossed your mind that we're insulting people of a diminished mental capacity beyond being stupid. You know, the disabled was not what you wanted to offend in any way, shape, or form. And going by the comments, it seemed that it caused a lot more offence to no tree believers than it did to the disabled. You know, I can't think of any comments that said that. You know, maybe there were. I just missed them. You know, I did delete a lot of horrible comments from people just abusing me on there. But most of them were no tree believers.
Yeah. I thought, okay, if it's those people and they're mad at me, but then later on they'll look at the original video and think of my video, maybe they can start being a little more critical before they just believe something just because it seems like it's right. That was my intent. When Jeran put that, it really threw me off. I don't know. That wasn't my intent. If anyone took it that way, you know, in that sense, I'm sorry because I didn't mean it. I don't really do voices. I really worked hard. I was actually sitting at a picnic table and I was practicing that voice, and there was people walking by, and I was kind of loud, and I didn't know, and they were laughing, and they thought it was funny, so I thought, oh, I guess it is pretty good, so I just kept going. So I really worked hard at it to make it sound as terrible as possible, yet funny, and get the rhythm right. That's all I was doing.
There's a few more comments that have come through. One that made me chuckle. Rory McFizz, who did a false flag demonstration at the Flat Earth UK meetup. He says, "I'm disabled." That's it. No other comment. And then we've got Back for More. "I'm disabled. I put 15-inch car tires on my wheelchair. This is on YouTube if you'd like to see it." So yeah, deeply offended. So there was one really pertinent question, which I really liked, from Nick Green. What is compelling about Flat Earth? Yeah, that is a good question. What's compelling about Flat Earth? The fact that it's flat. That's supremely compelling to most people. The people who deny it and refer to their maths proofs and their education, their upbringing, their indoctrination, and will deny any actual proof you present to them, or look for a get out that has normally been developed over the last 500 years by a whole load of other people who want to deceive you. And that's fact. This is all true. I'm more than happy to put my neck on the line and say that's how it is. You know, we don't live on a globe, and that will always compel people. The reason is because you will have observed this yourself. You will have had those moments when you'll have seen something that didn't quite make sense and written it off, or looked into it and came up with a heliocentric explanation that you have simply accepted as true, rather than gone out and researched for yourself as true. Boats going over the horizon, thank you very much to Edge Rhetoric for the superb video to debunk that idea, has been demolished by Jaren. You know, he's ripped that to shreds. But this is an old heliocentric entanglement. They say, we will never be able to see the Earth as curved. It's just way too big. Right up until the point that a boat goes over the curve. Then you can see it. That's all right. That little contradiction in terms, that's fine. It's never going to be the case that you can see the curve from ground level, apart from a boat's point of view. You can see that going over the curve, though. That's all right. You know, that compels people to look into it more. The contradiction, same with the Foucault pendulum. You can see the contradiction. It doesn't gel. It doesn't make sense. Yet you go out and start testing stuff, and 101,000 flat earthers will attest to this. They want to go out and debunk flat Earth. So they go out and do a little test, and every single time it comes up flat.
Yeah,
that's compelling.
Yeah. And those are great things to do. I like that. I said to a guy at work a while ago, I said, well, why don't you go and test it? And he goes, I don't have to. I already know. I said, hey, let's go right now. We'll go to Lake Erie or Lake Ontario, and let's test it. And they're afraid. They're afraid to test it because they just might be wrong. So I like that. It's good. Any other comments in there?
Yeah, there's a couple more. We got Nick Green. Science requires empirical peer-reviewed data. What you are talking about, division amongst flat earthers, is unavoidable if you work with a scrutinized system of testing, and yeah, that's where it ends. And then Rory McPhizz says, can't argue with that.
I mean, division will be there, but you don't have to add more to it, right? Like people divide over things. But this is in my opinion, is purposefully added to cause even more division over and above human nature. It's like gasoline on a fire, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you've got something like, let's see, Dean Jones. Hawkins is a fraud. Well, okay, that's absolutely fine. If you want to believe in that, research it, dig into that rabbit hole as much as you like. What he's not saying is Stephen Flat Earth Hawkins is a fraud, which would be different. Do you see where I'm going?
Okay, I get it.
What I'm saying is, by saying that Stephen Hawkins is a fraud, he's just like most scientists. He's a heliocentric believer. In fact, he's just like most people. So that kind of goes without saying that he's. But he
didn't throw the flat Earth in there.
Exactly. There's no flat Earth in there to have 50% of flat earthers specifically saying, no, I think Stephen Hawkins is just a real guy who thinks he's on the ball. And yeah, he does talk through a Simon speak and spell or whatever you call it. And then the other 50% of flat earthers saying, no, the guy's a puppet. He's obviously got someone's hand up his arse talking for him. You know, and that rift between the 50% who do and don't think he's controlled would cause division. In reality, there's no association beyond the usual heliocentric entanglement with Stephen Hawking. No trees on flat Earth. It's a flat Earth subject. It's a flat Earth video. It's squarely directed at flat earthers. It's for all people and flat earthers in general. It said it on the first card.
Yeah, and if you only believe in flat Earth, you're half awake. So it's like it's a lot of double talk that I saw in that video, and I don't think that has anything to do with his language or trying to speak good in English the best that he could. That's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think we might round up here because we're starting to go around in circles, and I don't want to spend 2 hours just dissing no forests on a flat Earth. So was there anything you wanted to add? And again, if you want to get your points into the chat, now's your opportunity before we end this broadcast.
Well, you know, Jaren, I just want to be friends. That's it. Like, we don't have to agree on everything. You seem like an okay guy. I stood by you. You know, even a lot of my Christian friends told me not to talk to you and that, but I did. You have some good stuff when I watch your videos. You know what? I spit out the bones. Like I'll see what you're saying that's true, and you're really good at talking and the way you word things, and you do make some really good points and get people to think. I've learned to be a little more tolerant of other people just by watching your videos, and it's helped me a lot that way. I would like to sub each other and be friends, and maybe on this issue we would have to disagree, but that's all. I hope you hear that anyway.
Yeah, and I'd echo that. I think Jaron is wonderful, and I don't want this to be seen by him and think that we are anyway bashing him. As I said at the beginning of the broadcast, I see Jaron as an unfortunate victim of potential propaganda. Now, that might get me a little bit of grief for saying that, especially as I've sat in the fence up until now, but there we go. I will read just one last comment from Back for More. Where is it? The thing is, you can't just dismiss somebody's beliefs. You can look at what they say and decide for yourself, but if you don't believe what they believe in, that doesn't make them wrong or you wrong. Very good point.
That's true. Yeah.
So I think I might just round it up there. So massive thanks, Adam, for you very openly expressing your feelings on this matter at such short notice. So thank you very much for being with me today.
Thanks for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. And to all of you who have joined us live and in the chat, thank you very much for watching. I've been Nathan Oakley. I will see you all in the next video.